and unstable, what to do.
Yeah, then we can see all our fears and our attachments, isn't it? As long as everything goes well and we don't have to face like difficult things or problems come, but we're able to deal with them and we're able to sort them out, then, then samsara seems not so bad. But then when it comes, then we start to realize, this can happen anytime to anybody. We just have a neighbor that I heard that he's died like 3 weeks ago. I didn't know. Nobody in our house knew. But because somebody from our house, and they're living next door, in an apartment house. And so because somebody from our house has met his wife in the shop, and both of them were on crutches. So the one from here said, oh, now we're in the same situation. And then the wife said, no, not in the same situation. And she burst out crying and like they've been married, I don't know, 50 years or even more. And he had a very aggressive tumor and he died very, very quickly and very suddenly. So she says, oh, I want to go as well. I miss him so much. And I see him everywhere. This is where he sat and this is where he cooked and this is what he did. And so when we hear like this, it seems only happening to others. But then when it's somebody that you knew so well, then it goes in quite deep, this whole thing. And in samsara, it can happen to anybody, isn't it? Tom, have you done your bit already?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so please do.
Yes. Right, great to see you again, Anila, and thank you very much for coming. And now I'll address everyone in Hebrew. אז שלום לכולם. ברוכים הבאים לעוד מפגש עם אנילה של ידידי הדרמה. שמח לראות אתכם שוב כאן כרגיל כל יום רביעי, זה נורא נחמד שיש איזושהי שגרה בתוך כל הכאוס והבלגן שקורה בארץ עם המגפה וכולי, וזה טוב שיש איזשהו משהו אחד, אי של יציבות בים הסוער הזה. אני רק אזכיר לכולם את כל השיעורים הקודמים של לוסאנג במסגרת השיעור הזה, וגם עוד פעילויות ושיעורים של מורים אחרים רבים וטובים של ידידי הדרמה אפשר למצוא בערוץ היוטיוב של ידידי הדרמה, ועוד מידע על פעילויות עתידיות לבוא אפשר למצוא באתר של ידידי הדרמה. אני אשאיר לכך קישורים בצ'אט עוד מעט.
גם של פרקים 1-5?
סליחה?
גם של פרקים 1-5 הקודמים? או רק 6 של עכשיו?
כמה שידוע לא היו כאלה
מפגשים?
כן, אולי מישהו ש...
טוב, אני אשיב לזה. הפרקים הקודמים נלמדו במסגרת התוכנית בודהיזם A to Z, ואני לוסאנג לימדה אותם, והם נמצאים באתר שלנו, אז תוכל להגיע לזה.
תודה.
תודה רבה ליאורה. כמו כל הפעילויות של ידידי הדרמה, גם הפעילות הזאת היא נעשית בהתנדבות ונעשית מתוך לב, ללא תג מחיר, וכל מי שמרגיש שיש לו, שהוא מרגיש שהפעילות הזאת מיטיבה איתו ותורמת לו, נשמח מאוד אם הוא יתרום גם כן, ואפשר לעשות זאת בדנה, פרטים מכך אפשר למצוא באתר ידידי הדרמה, וגם אני אשאיר קישור לפייפל בתיבת הפייפל של אנילה, אלא אפשר לתת תרומה באופן פרטני. זהו זה, ובואו נתחיל. So Anila, I finished my bit, and now we can start. Thank you very much,
Tom. Okay, so I think we start again with just some mindfulness meditation, like listening inside how you are, how you feel, and not interfering. just to kind of train the attitude or the ability that we, as if we would be listening to a really good friend when we're saying, how are you? And, you know, we know that, of course, with the friend also, we always want to interfere and we want to say what they could do or what they should do and what is not right and this and that. But this is not what mindfulness or awareness is all about. It's also about acceptance. Like, I know it sounds strange because we all want to get out of samsara and we all want to become enlightened. And then everybody's talking about acceptance. But before we change something, first we have to really learn to accept, because otherwise we go into the changing with a lot of aversion and a lot of tension sometimes also, and absolutely no self-compassion or no self-love. There's just like pushing and forcing and all this, and it's really not helpful, you know. It can be helpful at certain moments, but this is why awareness, like really getting to know yourself, is so important, because then you start to know, now I need to really push, you know, because do you remember when we did this with preparing to shoot the arrow, the kudo, that you can do like different ways. You can start doing awareness because you think you're not good enough, or you can start doing awareness because you suspect that you have great potential and you want to lift this potential. Now, it sounds like the same, but it feels totally different. Yeah, it feels totally different. One is rejecting something and the other one is wanting to adopt something. So when I talk like this, people would say, yeah, but it's the same. So this is, again, you have to feel whether this feels the same for you. Yeah, so, but the first step is always, I know it sounds strange, but the first step is always to think about the goodness, to think about the good things that we have, so that we can calm down the ego a little bit, and then, you know, finally we can dismantle it. But if we keep constantly talking and thinking about the problems, we get all stressed and we get all unhappy, But when we do look about the good things that we have and trying to develop a mind of gratitude or of contentment, it doesn't mean you don't want to progress, but you do it with a totally different mind state. And this for us is very difficult. It's very, very difficult to just sit and just look and just observe with a very, very friendly attitude. As I'm saying, as if you would be asking a good friend of yours, how are you? And before you interfere, wanting to help or wanting to do something, you have to listen. So this is what we're going to do now, maybe 10 minutes. Because if you do it on your own every day, I mean, that's fine, because this is how you create the habit of then the mind doing it like naturally. We still then do negative things and things like that, but at least we see, that's the first step. And we can see, like, not getting involved in the unhelpful emotions, because usually they hijack us and they carry us along. Whereas you have awareness and you look at your whatever is going on, all of a sudden, maybe I shouldn't tell you these things because you have to discover it yourself, but all of a sudden you realize, I can be happy, I can be sad, I can be agitated, I can be completely calm, but the space or the sensation or the feeling of awareness is always the same. And then we stop kind of identifying with these mental states. When you start to see, the one who is looking, or like, the mental state of knowing what is going on, because we do this for the sake of knowing, this one always feels the same. If you take one step further back, not what is going on, but who or what is knowing or is looking. So that can be quite comforting to know that space, that awareness, that calmness is always available. So try to sit with the straight back as much as possible, but relaxed. If somebody would tell you, sit in an inspiring way, how would you sit? or you have some key words there also, is relaxed but awake. Or like, a feeling of, for the moment, everything accomplished, nothing specific to do. Whatever helps you, that mind and body go into that state. As Leora Price said the other day, you can, when you breathe in and then through your mouth, you breathe out 3 times. So you can try this. Or imagine a situation where you have felt totally relaxed because for the moment, everything was accomplished. Like maybe, being very nervous about cooking a complicated meal and finally it's on the table and you tasted it and you know it's good. Something like this. We all know moments like this. So try to bring that into the kind of mindfulness or basic awareness meditation. And being awake, relaxed and awake. In order to come totally in the present, you become aware without opening your eyes and looking around, but knowing where you are, being aware of your surroundings. Then becoming aware of your body, knowing directly, unmistakably that the body is sitting. And using your breath in order to open up the body, to make it soft, to let go of all tensions, to make it wide open. And that you can do with each out breath. So for example, you can take different areas of your body. So there's this method, it's called CALM, C-A-L-M. So you start with your chest. You bring your full awareness to your chest when you breathe in. As you breathe out, you become very spacious, very open. A lot of space there. Letting go of all tensions. Everything that wants to be there can be there. Give space. And A is arms. So you can start at your shoulders. You're sweeping down with your awareness as you breathe into your hands. Try to hold this in the same way. As you breathe out, you think everything is opening up there, down to the smallest cells, like little flowers opening when the sun shines on them. By breathing in, being aware of the sensations in your arms and hands. By breathing out, giving space, becoming open. Then is L, that's for legs. So now you take your buttocks, your abdomen also. The legs down to the feet, down to the toes. Same thing, as you breathe in, you're totally aware of the sensations in your legs. As you breathe out, you become open and spacious. And then you come up to your face. So it's M, it's mouth, but it's actually the whole face, but it's especially the mouth, your jaws, your cheeks. Very often we are holding small tensions there that we're not even aware of. And then the eyes, around the eyes, behind the eyes. Try to drop your eyes, not to kind of keep them. All the muscles around your eyes totally relaxed. You let them drop. And then the front also. Come very soft, very open. And then with the very friendly feeling, you look at your mind state, and as if you would be asking a very good friend of yours or your grandchild or one of your children, maybe that's sometimes not so good because there's all this responsibility, just a good friend, and you would ask, how are you? So you're asking yourself, and you just look, you learn to listen, you learn to look and not to react, and also not to get absorbed into whatever is going on. Try to stay in the awareness. Try to be the listener. And not to manipulate anything. Just to be aware, just to look. In a very friendly way. And then if everything is okay and you're happy, you're open, you're calm, then just generate the thought, would be nice, it would be wonderful if all beings would experience that open, calm, peaceful state of mind. And you just stay with it, and you can actually think that you are sharing it with others and others benefit from that state of mind. But if, and very, very often, it's not so peaceful, it's not so calm, it's not so spacious inside, then we generate, like, again, loving thoughts that we do with words towards ourselves. Or you can tell yourself what you would like to hear from a person that you respect very much. Or if you have some kind of trust in the Buddha or in a God or whatever, what would that realized being, what would you like to hear from this realized being when things are not so well, when you have seen that there's tension, there's fear. And these words we can learn to tell ourselves. Like just very simple. May I be safe. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. Because if you do that with some kind of sincerity, then you have two mind states. You have the fear or the tension, and then you have the loving kindness who is taking care of it. Again, don't manipulate anything, just repeat the words. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. May I be able to live my life with joy and ease. And we think about all the goodness, all the good things we have in our life, all the people who accept us the way we are, who like to spend time with us, who support us. Who allow us to love and like them also. And then, because, you know, this self-care is very, very important. But if we keep it to ourselves, the love will die. They will not spread and they will not really give us what we want, meaning spaciousness and peaceful, being peaceful and calm. So then we think, you know, I want to be protected and from physical and mental harm, but so that I'm not harming others, may they also be protected from physical and mental harm. So the love that we give to ourselves, when we start to generate it for others also, it will increase. It will open up our hearts and it will flourish, it will grow. And we can even think that with each out-breath, we give the beings that we care for, beings we don't know, maybe even if we are capable beings that we don't like, with each out-breath, we breathe out light that gives them protection, being free from fear, being peaceful, loving, and so that they're also able to live their potential of being peaceful, loving, and happy. Always the wish to share our own goodness, our own well-being with others. Okay, thank you. So, do you remember the homework that I gave you last time? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes, Tom. Tom is you're the, wow, first of the class, actually. Maybe it's because you're so young, isn't it? That you still know what homework is. I think, you know, my generation, we forgot what homework is. This is, and we go, oh, when we hear the word homework, we go like, oh, this is for the children, it's not for me. Okay, Tom, what was the homework?
So the homework was to observe whenever we come across a situation and to observe how we we perceive it, either as negative or positive. To see how we tend to do that, and whenever it's negative, try to see the positive aspects of the situation rather than linger on the negative one.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was exactly the homework. And did anybody do this? Tom, yes. Anybody else?
Yes.
Who said yes very quietly somewhere? Tommy, okay. So what happened? Tommy, you want to tell us first and then Tom maybe?
The other question was more interesting for me.
Okay, let's stay with the first question.
No, it was the continuation. It was if the negative state of mind is when we are alone or when we are with others.
Okay, that I didn't remember, but it's good.
So that was interesting for me to check.
That was interesting. So what did you find out?
I find that it's, the negative is mostly when I'm alone.
Mm-hmm. Negative states of mind, like low self-esteem and not good enough and these kind of things, and a bit uneasy feeling, Mm-hmm. That is interesting. That seems to be the case for most of the people, actually. There are some people who feel more comfortable when they are alone, but those are rather, there's not so many of those. Okay. Okay, so Tom, what did you find out?
I knew that I usually see mostly the negative aspects of situations, and I found it that it's quite easy to find positive ones, even though at first it looks a bit artificial and not very relevant. It still it feels better when you think of a positive way to see situations in a positive way, at least like small ones. I broke a glass, then it's a reminder, and then I think to myself, instead of thinking, oh, I broke the glass, I'm so clumsy, and now I have to clean it up, and then it's an opportunity to see I'm distracted and I should be more alert, or it will make me more, now I have a reason to clean even better than just cleaning cups, and now I can clean the whole kitchen. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a small thing.
Yeah, like if you break a glass, then you can think one less to clean. So it's like, more space in the cupboard. So this is what you can think. Okay. So it's good that we start with small situations, but then, we start with small situations that we then can do like bigger situations where the mind really goes like, goes a bit off and things become very difficult. Now, but there's another, there's nothing in samsara because we have this dualistic view and dualistic thinking. So one can go to the other extreme and only seeing positive everywhere. And then what would happen then?
No enunciation, no wish for enunciation.
Exactly, no wish to get out of samsara. So, don't beautify the things. But it's usually, because now we come to these verses which are quite difficult, and I find them really hard to practice, and so that we don't feel guilty or we don't go kind of overboard. It needs a lot of discussion, the verses that come now, so that we really understand what it means and that we see for ourselves if these verses that are now coming, if they are of some benefit. Or no, because if they're of no benefit, then we leave it. So when one thinks about the positive sides of difficult situations, then you always take your Dharma knowledge, because if it's a difficult situation, you're purifying your negative karma, you can generate empathy, and you are, you're not arrogant, and also you can generate some compassion for the other person. And you can practice patience. This is it, because patience is one of the 6 perfections that if you want to attain enlightenment, you need to do that. Now, I have to warn you here for the verses that come now, because I was in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and we did, can't remember what we did. I think we did the 4 immeasurables also. Or we talked about bodhicitta quite a lot. So there was a therapist, a psychotherapist, who said, well, you know, bodhicitta and putting others before you and all this. And she said, I have a patient who has problems saying no and is always saying yes, but she feels exploited and she's tired and you know, she can't say no. So she said, so the therapist said, so I don't know what to tell her, because if I look, you know, at the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, for example, and then you know how I am. I don't let people speak until they're finished because I assume I know what they want to say. So I immediately stopped her and said, excuse me, she is your patient. She's not a Buddhist. And therefore it's like, you see, these methods that we are studying here, these are for people who want to escape samsara, get out of samsara. Like when we talk about samsara, who don't want to be under the control of negative emotions anymore, don't want to be reborn again and again and again and again, and want to attain full awakening in order to be of benefit to others, okay? So this is our motivation. A patient who comes to see a psychotherapist, he wants to have happiness in this life. So that is totally different. So you can't give him these very strong methods, you know. So even if she tells her, well, you have to say no and you have to do whatever you need to do and forget about others for the moment until you're strong again, that might not sound like bodhicitta, but this is what this patient needs to hear, yeah. So us who are listening, and me, I'm talking, and you are listening to these talks, you really have to be sure what you want, yeah? And then not think because it works for me, because I have this kind of motivation that I want to escape samsara, or I don't want to be reborn again under the control of my unhelpful emotions, especially the wrong views. You know, if you see that you have these views, then difficult situations are actually welcome. But if you just want happiness in this life, then you avoid them as much as you can. Especially if you have money, then you know you're not staying in a difficult situation. You escape whenever you can. You separate from difficult people, you separate from difficult situations, and so on. Yeah. Now I'm not saying that if you practice these methods, it doesn't give you happiness in this life. It actually will. But this is a side effect. But if your side effect becomes the very purpose for practicing these things, it can go totally wrong. And you can get even more exhausted and more neurotic because you think I am bad. And you know what the verses we come to now, because of me, other people are creating negative karma, and then they have to go to a low rebirth, and it's my fault. And then you are even more kind of, I'm no good and I'm so bad, and then feel guilty and ashamed and all these kinds of things. Yeah. So this is why it's really important to every day to check your motivation. What is it, you know, as we did I think we did it last time in the meditation. What is my priority? You know, what is really important for me? And then when we know the Dharma, at least we know it intellectually, but do we really know it deep down? Do we really live like this? Because now we come to, again, you know, karma. How does karma work? Okay, so I'll open the thing and I'll give you the text, because Tom has already made me the co-host. So thank you very much. So we did this, yeah. Last time, it is the fault of the childish that they are hurt. For although they do not wish to suffer, they are greatly attached to its causes. So why should they be angry with others? So when somebody hurt us, we are, you know, this whole thing, it's like the German, one of the German translations doesn't just say greatly attached. It actually says süchtig. How you say süchtig? You are, when you're addicted, that we are addicted to its causes. And I have to say, I saw it in myself, because somebody did something that I greatly disapproved. And somebody told me that she had done this. So I was conscious enough not to say anything that moment and say, okay, then we will do like this. Although I think it's totally off the wall. Well, totally, it's off the wall. And then I was going for a walk, maybe an hour later. And in my head, I was going on about this person, you know, like blah, 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 blah. And she always does it. And everything she criticizes in others, she is exactly doing this, you know, the whole time and all this. And I felt a certain kind of pleasure. And even in my head, I knew I shouldn't be doing this. Where is your bodhicitta and all this? Then again about the person, but she's always doing this and blah, blah, blah. And there was you know, when it says attached or addicted, I saw it was some kind, because you know, since I've been an alcoholic, then I know how addiction feels when you take what you are addicted to. There's kind of joy and there's pleasure and there is a relief also from having had this lack. So then I started to understand this verse in a better way. Now, what happened then, you know, I enjoyed it 10 minutes and was going on, blah, 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 but only in my head. And so I didn't really create negative karma because I didn't say anything. So it's not negative speech. I didn't act upon it either. And by seeing my attachment to being negative, actually, I think it gave me some relief, or some, you know, this relief of knowing, to say, now I understand this verse 45. I really see it in myself. Yeah. And then you're able to let go. So then again, you know, the big thing is not to feel guilty and not to feel, I'm such a bad person, I will never get it right and all this. So just to see it and to be happy that you saw it, because somebody in another group, she said, yeah, but if I see that I've done it again, that I talk badly about somebody else and and this and that, then I feel really bad about it. This is going almost too far, because you're not supposed, if the feeling bad about it helps you to abstain from doing it, then it's fine. But if it's not helpful, then, you know, just be happy that you saw it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Okay. So we come to verse 46. If you have questions, because now also I only see 5 people here, because I have the text open. Can you see the text, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Because sometimes I can see it, but you can't. And then, you know, I'm going on and on and on and on about the text. 10 minutes later, somebody says, this is the Swiss people. Now, somebody says, we can't see the text. So it's like, okay, so 46, just like the guardians of the hell worlds and the forest of razor-sharp leaves, so is the suffering produced by my actions, with whom therefore should I be angry? Okay, so again, he tells us about, or himself, like, as we shouldn't forget, Shantideva is talking to himself mainly, and sometimes he is having a conversation with his, like, the wisdom mind and the negative mind. So not so much here. He is just talking to himself, saying, hey, excuse me, what are you complaining about? This other person, harmed you, but he will not be able to throw you into the lower states. What throws you into the lower states is your own unhelpful actions done with what is called negative emotions, like anger, attachment, hatred, cruelty, and these kinds of things. So that, even the guardians in the hells, now, I don't know how much you know about the hell realms. So even the guardians in the hells and these razor-sharp leaves, they're not waiting for me somewhere, but they are a projection of my mind. Like the hell realms are hallucinations, but they will seem real to those with the karma for that existence. And this is very difficult to understand. You know what people say, sometimes they tell me when we do, you know, don't know, medicine Buddha practice or something like this, then somebody comes and says, yeah, well, you know, these Buddhas, I know they're just fantasy projections, and but I am real. Or somebody at one point also, she asked me, she said, do you believe in the hell realms, that they are really existing? And I said, you know, a little bit kind of arrogant Buddhist answer, kind of, no, I don't believe in them, that they exist really. So she was kind of relieved that I also don't believe in them. But then I said, but you see also that the human realm does not exist really. This is also just a projection. Like all these 6 realms, they are just a projection. So, but let me close this so I can see you. Do you all know the 6 realms that are being taught in the Buddha, in the Buddhist teachings, or does somebody not know them? You can say, yeah, because we are not born with this kind of knowledge. Can you see the picture? Because now I don't see you anymore at all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I make this a little bit bigger, so just to be sure that everybody understood. So they, you know, they talk about 6 realms. So the best one here, you have to go to. Can you see? It's not very clear, is it? But there. So you can see them playing music and having beautiful women here and having a really good time. This is the God realm, okay? Then here is the Asuras. These are, they're kind of warriors. So there's this tree here that has these wonderful fruits. And they think it belongs to them, but they cannot take the fruits. Only the gods can take the fruits. So they have a lot of jealousy and weapons and all this. And they are constantly trying to get what the God realms have, but they don't have the power to get it. So, you know, their whole life, they, instead of being happy with what they have, they want the things of others. And here are the humans. So here's like, I think it's monks here. Yeah, monks, but here also lay people, somebody working the field, and householders, and here's the monastery and these monks. So those are the human realms. So these 3 realms are called the upper states because the suffering is not so terribly intense. Okay, then we go to the lower states. And so here you have the animals. This we can see, we can't say there is no animals. And why it is called a lower state is because their minds are not as powerful as the minds of these upper beings here who can figure things out. You know, we have this human intelligence. What kind of intelligence the gods and the demigods have, I don't know. But if we look at humans, we can really figure things out, and animals cannot. Now, it's not saying, you see, if you have a very negative mind, then it's much better to be an animal because you create less havoc than a human with a negative mind. But if you have a positive mind and you generate bodhicitta and you want to attain enlightenment, then it's better to be a human than an animal. Yeah. So this is why animal realm is called like one of the lower states, because of the suffering is very big, because you have, you know, you have the bigger animals who kind of eat you up, and there's a lot of fear. And at the moment also from the humans, there's a lot of exploitation of animals. You only have to think about animal farms, you know, when these animals are treated like, how to say, like merchandise, like as if they wouldn't have any sensations and no feelings and all this. So this is why it goes into the lower state. And then you have here, you have the hungry ghosts. So they, you know, they're people who never get enough, who cannot fulfill their basic needs. They have very big bellies, and when they drink something, then flames come out of their mouth. And then here you have the hell beings. And then there's a lot of, there's the cold hells here, the cold hells here, and then you have the hot hells here. And then here you have some guardians, you know, with weapons, these black ones. The guardians with weapons who kind of beat you up and do horrible things to you. And there's just pain. Like there's pain 24 hours a day. So these are what is called the 6 realms. Okay? Now, when it says here, the razor-like, you know, and the forest of razor-sharp leaves. So they say there are forests which have leaves like trees, which has leaves like razor. So why do you remember? Anybody remembers? You know, because we usually don't talk so much about lower states. Because also one Rinpoche once, he told me, and he said, well, you know, don't insist that there is lower states, because the Westerners, they don't believe it anyway. And if you continue to talk about the lower states, they will start throwing stones at me. So now on the Zoom, you cannot throw stones at me. You can only kind of zoom out. So, so I'm quite safe to at least introduce you to those 6 realms. We will not go into details, because if you decide to become a Buddhist, and then I don't, you know, nobody ever talks about the 6 hell states, the six realms, and then you get surprised, and then you go like, oh, if somebody would have told me, I wouldn't have gotten involved in Buddhism, because all of this is nonsense. I don't believe in this. Now, of course, you know, you can take these states into the human realm. This is true, because you have states of existence which is only pain and only really terrible. You have states of like the animals, because also what is with the animals, they're only interested in comfort and sex. And this sex, you know, having enough to eat, having enough to drink, and sex, not too hot, not too cold, and then they're happy. So again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't really progress on the path. You can see humans like this. Then you have the hungry ghosts. Those would be addicted people, or, you know, people in Africa when there is a drought, nothing to eat, nothing to drink. And then you have people who already have a lot of things, but are just jealous about others. So, and they cannot enjoy what they have. We can see that. And we have people who have like very high pleasures and seem to be very happy. That would be the God realms. And the humans, like in the human realm, we have this competitive mind. We always have to be number one. So this is a bit our national delusion. So these razor sharp blades, razor sharp leaves, there's one suffering, because this is what he probably took from the text. Anybody remembers what that could be? You know, I mean, if we would see a tree that has like leaves, which, you know, you wouldn't climb up a cactus, would you? So these are, you know, these razor sharp, these, what's it called? These, the razor sharp leaves, the forest of razor sharp leaves. Why is it suffering? Do you remember? Why does it go into suffering? Yeah, I see you didn't really study the lower states, eh? Well, it's like, you know, in this tree, in this forest, when you walk through the forest and then you see your loved ones on top of the tree and they're all calling out to you and they say, please come and help me, I am suffering. And then when you climb up, these razor leaves are kind of cutting you because as you're climbing up. So the razor is probably down as you go up. And when you are on the top, all your loved ones are on the bottom, and they call from there and say, please come and help me. I need your help because I'm suffering. And then you climb down again. And so it goes up and down and up and down. So even those, you know, they are just a projection of the mind. And but if we have created the karma to have these kind of projections, then we will have to experience this. So it's very difficult to say, well, yeah, okay, this we understand. We say it's just a projection. And then we think, because it is just a projection, we will understand that it is just a projection and we will not suffer. Only a Buddha can go there and not suffer because they don't perceive the pain. They see it, but they don't experience it. They don't perceive it because their minds are pure. But our mind is, you know, is projecting and putting the label really bad, really terrible, as we do in the human realm. You know, in the human realm, we don't understand dependently arisen suffering. We only understand real suffering, real pain, real happiness, but none of it is real. It's just a projection of the mind. It depends how you label it. But, you know, again, you can't, if you have pain, you can't just say, okay, that's fine. because then I change the label and I will feel pleasure. This you cannot do, because these attitudes, this is what the karma is all about. They're very deep seated. You cannot change the label in your mind and say, okay, now the pain goes into pleasure. But, there's people who pay money to be hurt in order to have sexual pleasure, for example, and we call them masochists. Yeah, so we can see that this exists. Yeah. Do you understand this? So like the hells in which we find ourselves are a projection of our thinking. But when we are there, we will not see it as a projection. The same way as now we're in the human realm, we don't see it as a projection. We think that this is totally real. Then we hear, the teachings on emptiness. And then at least intellectually, we start to understand, the good and bad is not really coming from out there. The good and bad is coming from my mind. We understand it intellectually, but still we don't react as if we have understood. So, most of our pain is homemade, says the Buddha. That the pain that we experience comes from, is a consequence or a ripening of our past actions. Can we accept that? If you accept the law of cause and effect, which is called karma, then we have to accept this. If you don't accept this, then you don't believe in the law of cause and effect. Then you have to find a view for yourself why all this is happening. Yeah, we will not know, because the law of cause and effect, how it works, only a fully awakened being can see. This happens now to me now because like 100,000 lives ago, I did some kind of action, a little bit like this. What we can see though, is that, the immediate effect when we act with a positive mind and when we act with a negative mind, this we can see. But this is not really what the Buddha explains about the ripening or the consequences of our past actions. So, what do you think about this whole thing? Because I think the good news, just a sec, the good news in this, once we realize this, we may be motivated to break free from our unskillful behavior, because the more we don't continue with our unskillful behavior, meaning negative actions, the more calm our mind and our life becomes, and the more then we can understand emptiness. Because if you're totally caught up in suffering, there's no way you will understand that there's no real separate me, independent, autonomous I or ego to whom this is all happening. Sorry, I cut somebody's voice. Who was it? Was it Nachum? Was it you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I find for me, it's not so hard to embrace the karma, the cause and effect thing, because it helps me.
Yeah.
Because if I had things that didn't go right over and over again, the same kind of things, and now that I can see it more clearly, so, and I'm changing my mind, and I feel like already it's getting better. Okay. So I can understand why it happened. It was not out of the blue. I made it.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm trying to be a Bodhisattva and also to clear my So I want to believe in it. It helps me.
Yeah. It's good when you say, I want to believe in it, because for us, it's just a belief. It's a view. So either we adopt it and then we have to adopt the whole thing, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Or we say, no, everything is just coincidence.
I adapt it. I have no other chance.
Something like this. Yeah, me too. So I'm very happy. When I heard about the law of cause and effect, I was very, very happy. Because it immediately shot me out of the victim role. And I like to think I am more or less, not totally, but in control, and I have a choice. I can shape my future. This is the message I heard in it.
Yes.
What I did in the past and what will happen to me now, this is ripening from the past, but now I have a choice how I want to shape my future. And as Nachum says, I still don't know if it's true, you know. I still don't know if with my positive actions I'm shaping my future, but if I behave in a skillful way, meaning with a positive mind, already now I feel better. So already now there is some effect, yeah. But sometimes I also, you know, shutting up, not saying something, or first checking what is the state of your mind when you do criticize somebody else. It's difficult. So basically what the Buddha says, the prisoner created his own prison, but still gets angry at the prison and therefore suffers more and creates new difficulties. This is when we don't understand the law of cause and effect, and many people don't. And sometimes people even do, but they still create a lot of negative actions because of habit and because of tendencies, yeah? Like you see, you know, Buddhist countries means, you know, it doesn't mean that everybody who was born a Buddhist behaves like a Buddhist, by the way. You know, it's enough if you look in Myanmar, or, you know, as it was called Burma before, what they do to the Rohingyas in the name of religion. I mean, it's terrible, yeah. So Buddhist, you become a Buddhist when you start to behave like a Buddhist, then you would be a Buddhist. And I think this goes for all other religions as well. And when we start to understand this, then we can take, when somebody's harming us, we can take it in a much better way. Because, you know, we're not going about, because when somebody's harming us, we can create patience, we know that we're purifying our negative karma, we see that our arrogance decreases, and we can even generate empathy for the person who is harming us. So we start to see the benefit of being harmed, okay? So that's a good thing. So, but then we go, no, if somebody is harming me and, you know, disrespecting me or criticizing me, his intention is not to help me. But it doesn't matter what this intentions, you know, what this person's intention is. Because sometimes we let people criticize us when we see that their intention is good, they really want to help us. Sometimes people criticize us because they want to hurt us. But why is it so important? It's our ego mind who says that, yeah? Why is it so important what the intention of the person is? The main thing is we heard the criticism, and then it's for us to check, is this true? If it's true, thank you very much. I didn't see it. Thank you for telling me. If it's not true, then why get upset, for example? Yeah. But this seems to be so important for the ego mind, whether the criticism comes out of good intentions or bad intentions. Yeah. So sometimes we can compare it also with the dentist or a surgeon. You know, both of them, they hurt us, isn't it? I have never been once to the dentist where it didn't hurt at all. Only when, you know, like you go for control, but even then he goes with the thing and he goes, you know, this, it doesn't really hurt, but it's definitely not pleasant. But when he starts to drill, or when he put, you know, drilled into my bone and put in these new teeth, that definitely hurt. Once the injection was gone, for like 2-3 days, he had a lot of pain. But still, you're not getting angry at the person because you go voluntarily and you understand it will be helpful in the future. Yeah. So this is the thing, you know, if you get harmed now, it will be helpful in the future. And these are the next verses. But if you understand this in the wrong way, my gosh, it's like you really need to understand the law of cause and effect. Because otherwise you're just going to hurt yourself even more. Do you see what I'm saying here before we open these next verses? Because they can be totally misunderstood, and people put themselves in difficult situations or stay with people who harm them and saying, oh, but I'm purifying my negative karma, you know? That would be a total misunderstanding. Or they would have the power to stop somebody, but they don't, by saying, oh, yeah, but, you know, it's all karma and all this, and I don't know what. Yeah, Tommy wanted to say something.
This is all on the personal level, but a lot of the harm and cruelty and evilness is on the group level, on the national level, and then how do we see it? We need to see that we have collected karma as a group. So we cannot even be angry on our leaders, or we cannot even
well, again, you know, I think we talked, sorry, Tommy, I'm cutting you, I know, but I think we talked about this in length, you know, that I said, getting angry means you want this person to be hurt and harmed. This is this is what anger is saying. Being frustrated at some injustice and wanting this person to be able to use their potential wisdom and compassion, and wishing them well and wishing that they are happy, and not being so attached to their power, that is okay, but that is not anger.
Isn't it strange, a little strange, that karma can be collected?
Yeah, it is our collective karma of humans at the moment to have this coronavirus that is restricting our movement so much. Definitely.
Where is my responsibility?
Huh?
Where is my responsibility?
Not to create more of this kind of karma. To abstain from.
I'm part of a group.
No. Wait, collective karma doesn't mean that you created it as a group. Collective karma means we all created the same kind of karma, not at the same time, not as a group, but now we're experiencing it as a group. So if you stop creating negative karma, then there's one person less in that group who has to experience it. You cannot force the others to behave in that way. We're not responsible for other people. And when you say, okay, this is all okay on the personal level, are we there that we understand this on the personal level? You are? You never get angry at when somebody...
No. I'm saying that this is more clear and we are trying. I'm not saying that we are succeeding.
You see, karma is personal. I can only create my own karma. Then experiencing it when the conditions are there, then for it to ripen, then other people get drawn into that situation who have done the same actions. Like, for example, we all have the collective karma to be humans, and that's positive karma. Yeah, you remember what actions create the karma to have a human body with human intelligence? You remember?
No.
Anybody? Shall I give you more time, or
ask again?
Shall I tell you? Anybody remembers? What?
Ethical conduct?
Yes, that's the first one, ethical conduct. Thank you very much. Non-harming, being a non-harming person gives us the human body, or creates the causes to have a human body with human intelligence. But there's a bit more to it. Ethical conduct, then patience and generosity. And if you want precious human rebirth so that you meet the Dharma, having made the right aspirations to meet the Dharma again. Okay, so these are the causes. So we all have this, even the most terrible people, you know, have at one point, the most terrible humans have at one point, who knows when, created that kind of karma. You know, it's difficult to believe, but they were good at one point. Everybody who has a human body at one point were good. But then but what is also ripening is other karmic actions. You know, it's not just one action and then one action that creates our whole life. Every moment, every second, karmic consequences are ripening from karmic actions. And every moment, every second, we create more. Okay, so yes, Shantideva is talking more here. You know, he probably didn't take into consideration that, you know, there will be whole nations who suffer because of one person. There's many nations who suffer because of somebody who has power. But can you imagine what this person will experience in future lives? So this is now the next, these are the next verses. Can you see the text? Yes, no?
No.
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 Okay, thank you. Then I have to close this again. To go back to the Zoom. Now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now we come to, I find them kind of difficult to teach, especially if people don't really understand what it means. And I find them definitely difficult to practice, even in Switzerland and even on a personal level. Having been instigated by my own actions, those who cause me harm come into being. If by those actions they should fall into hell, surely isn't it I who is destroying them? So what does that mean? It means that if somebody is harming me, they come into my present because of my own past negative karma. So if I'm citizen of a country where I have a dictator, it is my negative karma. Let's not talk like these difficult things, because this is really, it's so harsh, you know. So, but if somebody harms me, criticizes me, doesn't respect me, hits me, steals my stuff, let's go into more easier things, yeah? So those who harm us are in fact invoked due to our own past negative karma, because otherwise they couldn't be like this, they couldn't harm me. Yet they will be going to the hell realms on account of their inflicting harm onto me. So due to negativities, one brings harm to oneself and to others as well. Harm now that bless you, harm that I'm experiencing my, being harmed, but then also to the other who then has to experience it in the future. Now, what greater reason for generating compassion? So what is compassion? Let's look at that. What is compassion? What does compassion say? Anybody?
The aspiration for others, for oneself, not to have the suffering and the causes of suffering.
Exactly. For all beings, or for somebody, for ourselves, or somebody, to be free from suffering. So when you so like instinctively, a mind who is realized and who understands this, if somebody steals my things, a few years back, somebody stole my purse out of my pocket, and I even felt it. I was in the bus. And so the first thing should be, may they not experience the result of this. May they not be reborn in the hungry ghost realm, because that as a fact would be the result of stealing from somebody when the karma kind of doesn't ripen quickly. Okay, would that be your first response? That would be compassion. This is what the Buddha thinks. Now, are we capable of thinking like this? Huh?
No way, I wish.
Wait, Nachum. I think we are. Because if your son or your daughter would steal from you, and you know it's negative, but you would still have to wish for them not to suffer because of their action, isn't it? If it's a stranger, like spontaneously, we would not consider about their happiness and about their suffering, Maybe intellectually, we go like, oh, but, what a terrible existence that they need to steal. I don't want to put myself up, but through training, when because I felt something, the bus was very full, and I felt a hand I felt something, somebody was touching me in a strange way. And I saw the bus was full. The bus stopped. That person went out. And I was thinking, what shall I do? Shall I scream now? Shall I call out? Shall I, what if she's already given it to somebody else? Then all these people who want to go home because it was midday and they want to go and have lunch. And then, there wasn't much money in it. There was just the cards in it. It really went like, brrr, like this. I thought, no, I'm not going to say anything. So the doors closed. I reached into my pocket. I said, okay, the wallet is gone. So in a way, I wasn't really suffering because immediately I saw, okay, the cards can be replaced. Okay. Money-wise, because this is why she was able to take it, because I had both hands were full of bags that I had bought like dog offering for the puja. So the cash was almost empty. And so when I told the story to some people, Buddhists, they say, oh, you stupid, you should have called out, they have to be stopped and all this. I said, no, because it was before Christmas. And I felt really sorry for them because I thought, like, what kind of an existence is that you have to earn your living through stealing? Yeah. And me, I know that I stole money from my parents when I was a kid. I don't have to go in, past lives to look where I created the cause for this. Okay. So with smaller actions, I'm actually able to do this, especially when it comes to stealing, because I know that I have been stealing. Yeah. So that would be the compassion. Then, of course, I'm not letting them do. When I came home, I called the bank and I said, can you please, kind of cancel the card? And it cost me about $200 to get the identity card and everything back again. When I was younger and I had the restaurant, I only remembered last night when we discussed this same thing. This the same verses. When I had a restaurant, somebody also had stole my purse, and there was about, the one that you work with in the restaurant, and maybe there was 500 francs in it. I can't remember how much. And I knew it was him. I just couldn't prove him, but I knew it was him. And I mean, the evidence, it was so amazing that it was him. Of course, he said, no, it wasn't me. So I made the mistake of calling the police. And excuse me, this is Swiss police, okay? So they wanted to take him because he was already known as a thief. So they wanted to take him to the post and he refused to go. So they grabbed his hair and pulled him out of the restaurant. And that moment I kind of made a vow, but I had forgotten about this, that I would never ever call the police again if something would get stolen from me. Because it was not justified that somebody gets treated in such a horrible way by the police when, like this. So of course, people here also, they say, yeah, but you're not taking your responsibility. They have to be caught. But okay, so they get caught. And then what? They stop stealing? I think it's better I make prayers for them. But this is just my view. Yeah. So how do you see this whole thing? This is what about, compassion is. So this is very high thinking in a way, like, and we should really have a good understanding of what karma is all about. And then compassion and even gratitude will come out of this understanding instead of anger. But it does not mean you let others hurt you. If you can protect yourself, you do, especially when you think about the karma they create. You protect yourself in order to protect them. Okay. So it was my fault. I can see it was my fault why she stole that purse, because I was getting the bus ticket and I had, the pocket of my coat is open, like it's, it's square like this. You only have to slip your hand in. And I had my two hands full. It's so negligent what I did. Of course, you can say she has no right to steal. Yes, it's true. So this is just my personal approach to that event. And I didn't feel unhappy at all. And I did see the positive side of it, because it was a new purse that I had just bought, but I didn't like it because it was too big. And I wouldn't have thrown it away, because I already bought it. Oh, good thing that one is gone. What do you think? What do you think?
In a way,
Is it stupid to react in that way?
I think this is a very good example of acting out of a steady mind, out of out of patience in a way, because once you have the ability not to become very disturbed by emotions that, oh my God, this is mine, someone took for me stuff, they harm me, I should do something about it right away, but instead you think it through and then you decide to let it go, or maybe not let it go. But yeah, so I think it's a good response.
Yeah, I have a question. I was happy that I responded that way. You know, you can call me stupid. People here, you know, even Buddhists, they called me stupid. I said, I don't care to be, you know.
מעיינה, אני עכשיו בזום, אני אוכל להתקשר אלייך אחרי 10?
What is Leora saying?
ליאורה, סגרי את הרמקול.
Okay.
May I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I accept the view. How to apply it, it's a different story. And as you said, I totally can relate to it, that it's easy in small things.
Yeah.
Sometimes very difficult. I can give examples. Once in Tuval, someone broke into our storage room.
Yeah, I remember.
The statue Denmalo Rinpoche gave us. When we came in the morning, it was really moving to see that all of us, the first reaction was, wow, what a karma is created. May he not suffer by selling it in the market. Yeah. So that was lovely. Or when someone hurt me and I don't want to complain because I don't want him to get fired, and I can deal with it, that's fine, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
In many cases, I don't have the skillful means to know what will be the right reaction. I have to check my motive. Still, I don't know whether to be wrathful or gentle, what will be the right thing. So I simply don't have. It's good to have a teacher in such cases, or to do the best check. And in many cases, I regret after the action of doing something because it was a mistake and I didn't think in time. So I'm still not a Bodhisattva, maybe.
Yeah, this is very difficult, as you say, Leora. And this is why we start small, you know, with these small things. And I think the main thing, especially in our society, when we do these exercises, is not to feel stupid. Because everybody tells us that we're stupid, they should be punished, you have to call the police, and this and that. And you know how the police is, they're really cruel sometimes. Yeah. And also, like in India, if you travel on a train in India and somebody steals something from you, I don't know if anybody has experienced that. If somebody steals something from you and you start to call out, hey, there's the thief, I tell you, all the other male passengers of the train, they jump on him and they beat him to pulp. That's how they get their frustration out. You will never do that again, you know. They stole something from you. I think once you've seen it, you let it go. Because the reaction of the people is so strong in India. When they have an occasion to beat somebody up, they love it. They really love it. It's quite a cruel society because they also suffer. So anyway, but this whole thing, we only did one verse. We come to the next ones then the next time. So like it's verses 47 to 51 are reflections on the pain that purifies us, but hurts the person who inflicts it because they have it in front of them, even if they don't get caught by the police this time. I think I heard the Dalai Lama say at one point, he said, now again, you know, if you can really stop them and you have influence on them and you think it really helps if you call the police, then by all means do, you know, you decide what you want to do. But if the thief is already gone and, you know, it's not really going to change their behavior, then, you know, I think it's better it's better to let them go. We always have this whole thing, I'm responsible for the karma of other people. And as Leora says, you know, the statues were gone. You had no clue who they are. So you can get very angry. It's about this, not to get angry. So you can get very angry or go into compassion and think, wow, the negative karma that they create of stealing statues and then selling them. Yeah. So, but this is a notion that is difficult for people in the West to accept. When somebody hurts us, he or she creates causes for his own suffering. Can we see that? We don't see it, you know. So this is the training. This is the training. So when you can also think on national level, Tommy, you know, all these people who are abusing their power, try to see what awaits them. Not in this life, but in future lives. And let's see what happens. If it goes like, oh yeah, well done, you know. And then the wish to stop them, when you see how much suffering they create, the wish to stop them comes out of compassion and not out of anger. You see the difference? Yes. But this can be totally hypocritical also, you know, it's like, oh, Bodhisattva, I want to stop them because they're creating so much harm for themselves in the future, but you don't mean it. So you really need to mean it. Same way as you would stop your child from doing a negative action so that they don't have to go to prison. You would even lock them into their room or something like that. Yeah. So by reinforcing habits, like negative habits, he or she creates a prison of a vicious cycle of pain and confusion. Yeah. So when people harm us and they keep harming, so then it creates this vicious cycle. So this is important. We are not responsible for what anybody else does, and in no way should we feel guilty for it. So don't go into, I am creating the future unhappiness of whoever is harming me or my country or whatever. So don't feel guilty. But when somebody hurts us, we involuntarily become the condition of their future misery. However, if he had looked at us with loving eyes, we would be the condition that he could accumulate virtue. So if somebody harms us, we become the condition for their misery. If somebody loves us and is kind to us, we become the cause and the condition for their happiness in the future. So this is why it's important for us to behave in such a way that people are creating positive karma for themselves, not to become hypocritical, but like a genuine, feeling connected and being able to like us. So these teachings go both ways. The way I see those who hurt me today will determine how I will experience the world in the future. In every encounter, now this will be your homework, I think. In every encounter, we have a choice. We can strengthen our aversion towards people or our understanding and empathy by seeing how they will suffer in the future. We can widen our narrow gap between ourselves and others. Because you see, all these people, we will meet them again and again and again and again and again, as long as we are in samsara. And it depends what kind of relationship we create with them, because this is what will continue in a future life. Yeah. And don't forget, even the worst dictator is a projection of our own mind. So think about emptiness. Think about dependent arising. That's so difficult to understand. This is so difficult to accept because it seems like so real what these powerful people are doing to the world, and how, these people, just because of profit, and they already have so much, and they, create more things to destroy the environment, not giving a damn, not really caring, and so on.
May I add something?
Yes, of course. Hagar.
Hi. So I wanted to add something I would like to share something that would happen to me, and then I would say.
Yeah, thank you, because it's really good that we start to share experiences, because otherwise it stays on an intellectual level. So yes, please go ahead, Hagar.
So around 2 years ago, maybe 3, I was with my friends at the beach, and I was naked. All my friends were naked, and there was this guy and whom we didn't know. And I was just with my friends, and he came behind me and he groped me completely. He just groped me everywhere. So my first reaction was, of course, compassion, but also I cannot let him do that to another being. So although I reacted completely calm, and I didn't yell at him, I didn't feel hurt. I didn't even feel hurt. I felt like he is harming himself, and and his karmic imprint is terrible. So although I reacted with the compassion, my point is that I wanted to add is that we also have to clarify for the other side that their karmic imprint. I mean, we cannot let him go.
Of course.
Just like I wasn't angry with them. I wasn't yelling at him. I was just telling him why it is wrong and why he has to always ask for consent. And I didn't know him. I had no idea who the guy is. And obviously it doesn't, if he was listening or not, it doesn't matter. But my point is that even if I see someone does a negative karmic imprint, whatever it is, even if it is by eating meat, it is my responsibility to put it on the table for them that they are harming themselves, because sometimes they don't even know. Just like stealing. Some people don't know that stealing is causing harm. So just adding to what you said, we need to compassion, and we need to show them that there's a different way, and to not be angry with them, to not show them that no, you are wrong, to show them with compassion and with great
Thank you. Yeah, it's very good. But because as I'm saying, you need to protect yourself. And when you protect yourself, you protect them. This is what I'm saying. With the money, the purse that was stolen was totally my fault. So why should I get angry at this person? But if I would have had, if I would have been more aware, because the thing about feeling her, it only came once she had already, the realization that she had stolen my purse. It only came, I think, once she was already out. Then it's, this is what it was. I wasn't so aware that I wasn't aware that her hand was going in my pocket. If I would have been aware, I would have grabbed her wrist. And I would have maybe very quietly say, look, you better let go, because otherwise it's going to create a big problem. Yeah, I still wouldn't have called the police, as I'm saying. I don't know what I would have done. But it doesn't mean if you have a way of stopping others, or as you say, telling them that this is not right to do, the same way as you would do with your children. You would maybe scream at them, but you would do it out of concern for them, and not of they have robbed my money, or as Hagar says, he's been touching my body, And then you don't continue to suffer once the action is finished, because when you get angry and you feel that, they're not allowed to do this and all that, you continue to suffer. You see what I mean? Igal?
I would like to ask something.
Yeah.
Is it okay already?
Yeah.
According to the whatever the word is, what do you think that regarding the corona? You think that in the other life, all of us made harm for each other, and this is the pain, the real, the present life of all of us?
I don't know. This is only the Buddha can see. I'm not a Buddha. Only a Buddha can see what is the purpose for this.
No, if we're talking about the karma, so actually.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, you never go back to the past and say, I wonder what I have done, so that this is happening. This is not important what we have done. Important is now we study the 10 non-virtuous actions. We study the we study the negative emotions, and as much as possible, we're abstaining from these actions, so we're not creating more negative karma for the future.
So there will not.
We don't need to go back to the past, exactly what I have done. We don't know.
No, I'm not talking about the past, but today it's the future's past, all right? So actually,
today, with the actions today, I'm creating the consequences for the future, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So the future is the today's past, right? I mean, when we'll be in the future, this is the past where we are now.
Right.
So actually now we're trying to do our best.
Yes.
Okay, so we will not have another COVID-20 because this is the 19. That's what you mean? That
well, it probably won't be so fast. This is the thing, you know. I mean, this we don't know. And you know, again, you can't say, is the COVID-19, is it bad or is it good? For some people, it was great. They made a lot of money, for example. For other people, it really made them understand that the way they live their life is no good, and they totally changed their lifestyle. We can't say it's good or bad. We cannot. This is every individual experiences it in a different way. Just today, before I had a phone call, and both of us, we said, you know, it's terrible to say, but I'm not suffering because of this COVID-19 at all. I know it's terrible to say.
You cannot ignore of the bad things that it makes for every year. I mean, every age has its own sufferer. The people before.
Yeah, but the suffering is individual, Sigal. It is not, you know, we think that everybody is suffering because of this, but it's not true. Some people are happy about it. So you see, if it would be really truly bad from its own side, everybody would find it bad. If it would be really good from its own side, everybody would find it good. But that's not the case. So it is relatively good or bad.
All right. So what I wanted to ask you, actually we are trying to do our best today for our next life will be better, right?
We'll see, yeah.
But are we coming back at the same? Because you said before that it's the same people we were met before. Now it's.
Yeah. No, you see, in Buddhism, the theory is that we have had numberless lifetimes. So we must have met everybody at one point. And when they talk about numberless, they mean about millions and billions and trillions of lifetimes. Mind has no beginning. So the people we will meet them again at one point.
As a human being always.
Sorry?
As a human being?
Not necessarily, you know. There's this story about, what was it? That I think it was a Sangha who saw, the mother had been reborn as the dog, and the father had been reborn as a fish, and the son was fishing the fish, and the mother was trying to eat the rest of the fish, and the wife of the young man who was fishing held the baby in her arms, and that was the lover of her that her husband had shot, or something like that. No, we don't know. You know, you can be reborn in any of these 6 states, as I just said. We will be reborn as human beings if at the moment of death, a positive karmic imprint is ripening. Positive karmic imprint that comes from having kept pure ethical conduct, having practiced generosity and patience, and especially having a positive state of mind that can bring this positive imprint to ripen. When we start to grasp at existence and we don't want to die. This is how it works with the rebirth, because we want to exist. So we activate these karmic imprints that make us be reborn at the moment of death, you know. We want to exist. We have this attachment to existence. You know, we don't want to go, we want a body and we want to be somebody, because that's what we're used to. So we're not staying in the clear light and saying, oh, now I have reached nirvana. The tendency of wanting to exist will make us be reborn whether we want or not. This is the force of tendencies and habits. This is how it is explained. It's theories, you know, we can either trust it or don't trust it. So one doesn't start with this, you know, one starts to see the Buddhist teachings where he says, There is suffering. This we have to say, yes, there is suffering, like there is unwanted and unsatisfactory things in our presence. And when he says the causes for this is negative actions and negative emotions or mind states, then we have to say, yes, that's true. And then when we start to trust these two things, then we can start to trust also there can be cessation, because if there is a cause for the suffering, the cause can be stopped. And then it's the path. How do you stop this? Yeah. So actually how the Dalai Lama starts, if you want to know what Buddhism is all about, you need to know the two levels of existence, the ultimate level and the conventional level. And the ultimate level is about emptiness, because then you understand, dependent arising, if you start to understand that nothing exists from its own side. Okay? Then you start to understand, therefore everything can exist. Therefore, a COVID-19 can be either good or bad, according to the person who looks at it. Everything only for us, everything, it looks as if things exist objectively out there, right? But then when you look, we don't know what comes out of this COVID-19. Maybe because of the COVID-19, we will save the planet, who knows? Because we cannot go to other countries anymore. We can't travel. We need less petrol and all these kind of things. Who knows? Yet things continue, so we can't see. At the moment it looks bad, but we don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. So when we understand these two levels, like dependent arising and emptiness, then you start to understand the Four Noble Truths. Then when you start to understand the Four Noble Truths, then you can say, now I go this way and I walk this path, and therefore I'm a Buddhist, and you take refuge. Yeah? But it really starts with understanding that there's two levels of existence, the conventional and the ultimate. So that's where we start. So I'm mostly teaching you on the conventional level, on the underlying is the ultimate, and this is Geshe-ma doing on Sundays, which she will start. Leora, where are you? Or Tom, are you still there? When does she start? Well, she has every Sunday, but then she does November, December, isn't it? Also weekends, I think. When she'll start on the Chandrakirtis, I think, middle way or something, key to the middle way. Yeah. So this is what makes Buddhism very, very complicated, because we have a habit of thinking black and white. It's either like this or it's like this. It's not, none of it is either like this or like this. Everything has two sides. And then we project kind of the way I see it, then that's the way it is. But it is not. Yeah. Maybe we can talk about this a little bit more next time, or like I say, I prefer to leave it to Geshe-ma. Something that we call, I don't know, we talked about a coffee machine the other day, because I had a picture of all the little parts that make a coffee machine. Then we say, where is the coffee machine? Then they say, when you put the parts together, then it makes coffee machine. Well, but if you can't find it in the parts, then it cannot be a real coffee machine. But if you have an old coffee machine and you throw it into the Yukon River, because you don't want to kind of, you don't want to recycle it or something like this because you're too lazy. If you're a fish, you wouldn't call this a coffee machine. Yeah, you would maybe make your house in there or something like that. So, but we are convinced this is a real coffee machine. Okay? Or pictures, there's these pictures where you see a 6 and a 9. I think I showed you that at one point. Two people, one is standing here, the other is standing here. One says 6, the other says 9. So is it a 6 or is it a 9? This is how conflicts start. Each one is convinced, that it's a 6 or the 9. And then we say it's both. It cannot be both. It's either a real 6 or a real 9. But it can be neither. It can be nor a 6 nor a 9, but it becomes a 6 when a mind is calling it 6. There is no 6 in the 6. There's no 6 coming from this side. The 6 is only coming from that side when we see some black lines. There is no objective existence. So this is what is difficult to understand. But our mind projects, mind projects real existence. Is it all clear here? So as long as we haven't understood this, we will suffer, either very, in a subtle way or in a very gross way. As long as we haven't understood this is Tommy. Tommy, did you put the link to that very beautiful article by, what was it? It wasn't Sharon Salzberg, it was Wilson, I think, somebody called Wilson. About the suffering of change, what that means. Yeah, no. Sorry, but I don't understand. You try to do the best for better. That's okay, don't worry. Yeah, you have to listen to this again and again and again and again. And then at one point it clicks, at least intellectually. And then the big task comes, and we have to start to understand it directly. Then it becomes like lucid dreaming. For the moment, what we can do, whether we find something good or bad, we get into the habit of thinking, oh, this is just my mind projecting the good and the bad. This is how we loosen the whole thing up a little bit. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? This is how we start to train. This is just my mind experiencing like this. Then, of course, you go to the demonstrations in your street and you see thousands of people having the same view. Then it becomes, again, really true, really bad. Yeah? But then you have the people who come for the counter demonstration. So then which one is right? Because they see it as really good, what is happening. If you see in America at the moment, Mr. Trump is out again, people cheering. So we all think they're idiots, isn't it? I mean, I do, yeah. But they themselves, they think we are the idiots. We don't understand how good this president is. So what is he? Is he good or is he bad? Oh, bad, 200%, isn't he? So this is it. Yeah, it loses the solidity a little bit when we start to think about emptiness. Okay, so shall we do the dedication? And then maybe next time we talk a little bit, or we try to do a reflection a little bit on accepting, by accepting people, the whole thing, because we like to be accepted the way we are. So we can give somebody else the gift of being accepted that we usually reject. And again, Tommy Selef, we start with small people. People who just get on your nerves a little bit. Okay, so what was the homework? I can't remember. Anybody remembers? Tom, you remember what I said? We need to protect ourselves. Yeah, to see when something negative happens again, and the attitude we have towards that person. Maybe starting small, when something negative happens to us. How we react to this person, and we try to change our mind state. Is that what I said before? Gosh, my memory, I tell you, is gone.
Yes, to see if we can generate compassion to people who hurt us.
Instead of, first compassion for yourself. May I be able to purify my negative karma so that this does not happen to me anymore. Not to run away from your pain of being treated in that way. If you feel pain, of course, if you don't feel pain, that your things got stolen, then you don't have to produce it. Yeah. But you see, I have no guarantee next time I will react in such a good way. I have no guarantee. I don't know. Yeah. But to think, okay, first compassion for myself. May I be able to react with compassion and patience, understanding that this is negative karma ripening, but not in a perverse and sick way to think, that I should let everybody do whatever they want to do. Not like this. If you can stop them in order to protect them from at least doing that negative action now. But most probably they will continue. Yeah. You put people into prison, it doesn't help. They continue and they come back out. Yeah. So what we can do, we can get out of their way and we can purify our negative karma so that they don't have to experience it. Yeah? And then to think by seeing your own pain, you know, and these little pains actually, we don't take care of them. We don't work with them. We don't dissolve them. When we get upset about somebody, small upsetness, we're not dissolving them with reasoning. Negative karma ripening for me. They have it in front of them. And then they go into the subconsciousness. And then they come back up as anger. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, we're not paying them enough tribute. We think they're not important. So when you feel a negative emotion towards somebody, then it's good to go like, okay, you know, they do something that I dislike. Okay, it's pain. May I be able to dissolve that feeling, and then may the feeling they give me now, yeah, may they not experience the negative karma from giving me that negative feeling. Do you see what I mean? I know I talked around like 3 corners here. To see our reaction, like our seemingly normal reaction, because 99% of the population, when you get angry at somebody who hurts you, they go like, well, but it's normal, isn't it? You know, if you say, no, it's not normal, I continue to suffer if I get angry, then they go like, huh? For them, it's normal. So this goes totally against what society says, what we're doing here. This is why I said these coming verses, they're quite difficult. But it's not what we learn in society, not at all. And it's difficult not to misunderstand that then you have to let everybody walk over you. So we just do the dedication and we dedicate that we may be able to understand this and be able to act in a non-harmful but still skillful way for the benefit of all sentient beings. To have this deep wish, because we have to act whether we want or not. This deep wish, may I become realized really, really quickly, because at the moment I am so confused. And most of my actions are not responses. They're not appropriate responses. They're just reactions. Yeah, I react out of habit. I'm not acting. Or my response doesn't come out of wisdom and compassion. So the wisdom would be, I understand that everything is just a projection. Everything is empty of inherent existence. Nothing exists the way that it appears. May I be able to understand that? This is the wisdom. It's my mind projecting and seeing it as good or bad. Then the compassion, the method side, may everybody be able to understand this so that we can be free from suffering as quickly as possible, because suffering is not normal, by the way. Suffering is not natural. It has causes. May we be able to understand these 2 levels of existence. The ultimate level, everything is empty of inherent existence, at the conventional level, but everything exists as a dependent arising as merely labor. And we understand these 2 things, conventional existence and ultimate existence, then we can be free of being under the control of our negative emotions. Only then. Okay, so thank you very much. I think I'll see you again maybe next Wednesday. And as I'm saying, we continue in the same line, and then we will start to do it. We will try to do a reflection of consciously telling somebody, I accept you the way you are. You can already train that in the week. When we feel resistance, I accept you the way you are, because I also like to be accepted the way I am. Then we do the reflection on it next time. Okay? A bit longer.
Thank you.
Surprisingly, what is surprisingly? Where's the surprise? accept you. Accept you the way you are. That we like to be accepted the way we are. Yeah, we do. So same as, you see, we're all the same. It's only our crazy mind who is making the difference. But thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Anila.
Have a very good week. Stay healthy in mind and in body. Be as happy as possible, because we need happy people in this world. We don't need unhappy people. There's no point. We just create more unhappiness. So be happy.
Thank you, Anila. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
ביי ביי.
Bye.
ביי.
תודה רבה לכולם שהשתתפו, ונתראה בשבוע הבא.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you so